A different issue that comes to mind is migration, which is a global concern. Now, could you imagine that China takes in refugees from, say, Syria or other parts of the Middle East, or even closer to home, maybe from Myanmar? Is that an issue where China could also show responsibility?
First of all, I'm not sure if anybody have asked. Why don't you try?
So if they did, what would be China's response?
I don't know. But I do know history. 1,000 years ago, there were tens of thousands of Jews, at that time refugees. Where did they end up? Nobody took them. China did. 500 years ago, there were 300,000 Arabs in southern China. What did China do to them? Welcome them. In fact, sorry to mention this, but in Second World War, when the Jews were persecuted in this country, the Brits did not take them. They traveled all the way to Hong Kong. They met a British colony, don't accept them. They went to Shanghai, China took them. The first place that somebody will take the Jewish refugee was China.
So that's an historical example, and that's much appreciated. But let's talk about the present.
That's why I suggest you ask them if they would take them. Because China is very big. China is the most populated country in the world. Will they accept? I don't know. I know what your country would do. I don't know what China would do.
What would you advise China to do?
Depends on the situation. Hypothetical questions are not as meaningful.
Still.
I don't know. I really don't know the answer. So all I can do is tell you what history has been.
The title of these discussions is The World in Disorder or World Order Under Pressure. And I think there's enormous amount of uncertainty regarding the current world order. But there are some things perhaps we can agree on. One is China has arrived or is in the process of arriving on the great power stage. The second is the Western-dominated order is changing, is in crisis, possibly crumbling. Do you see a relation between the 2 points? Is perhaps one point favoring the other one?
What do you mean by 1 point?
The second one of the Western world in disorder, making the role of China on the international scene even bigger than it was possible before.
Whether the West is in disorder or not, the rise of a big country like China, no choice, will change the world order. You don't need to intentionally change anything. Your presence will change everything. Today's trade of China is about the same as that of the United States. So the two of them has trade of what? 4 trillion, 5 trillion a piece, import, export, add together. And so, you know, when you are that big, you will change the world whether you like it or not. The answer rather, the question rather is the rest of the world willing to accept that 1.4 billion people want to better their livelihood? Is that legitimate? So the question should not be addressed to me. The question should be addressed to ladies and gentlemen in the audience.
What is your impression? How is the West reacting to this rise of China and to its will to play, apparently, a new role on the political scene?
I have my worries. And the reason is the following. The West have been strong for the last 400 years, 500 years, since Renaissance. And China has been waning for the last 200-300 years. And it is never easy to accept a new player. And today, the West is very ideological. In particular, sorry, Thomas, Germany. I talked to journalists from Süddeutsche, Frankfurter Gemeinde, and the French, wherever. No other journalists are as ideological as that of the German newspaper that I know. I never talked to Der Spiegel, Peter. Maybe you're better.
No, we're not at all.
But whatever it is, you know, let me tell you this. I'll answer it this way. I was in Frankfurt. I was in Hamburg one time, and Angela Merkel was speaking, and 4 or 5 times in her speech, she said, "Shared value." Shared value. Helmut Schmidt was sitting on stage with her. I was sitting on the first few rows. I raised my hand to ask a question when it's Q&A time. Of course, they would not pick a Chinaman. So I was not picked. But let me tell you what my question was. And I told Helmut Schmidt later. I said, my question was, Chancellor Merkel, you keep using the word shared value. I live in China. Am I supposed to share your value? By saying so, now no one is suggesting that you should give up your value. By all means, keep your good value. But by saying so, you draw a line on the sand. I am on this side, you may be on the other side. If you don't share my value, you are not one of my own. Keep your value, but why say it? By saying it, you are dividing the world. Good
Later on, I think we will speak about the Chinese policy to impose values or to have a free discussion in Europe.
We never impose it outside of our border.
Yeah,
You
I
do.
don't know.
You do.
Yes.
The West do. Can you learn not to impose your value on other countries?
But perhaps there are values to share.